Hi, and welcome to TV My Husband Hates. I'm Kat Sims.
And I'm Reagan Kempton.
And we are reality TV addicts?
Addicts, aficionados?
Ooh, I like that. Experts.
Experts.
Basically, we know our shit when it comes to reality TV.
100%.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another week of TV My Husband Hates. How are you doing this week, Kat?
I'm still here, and there are still 4 people alive and breathing in my house, which is miraculous.
That's a motherfucking win, babe.
It's a motherfucking win. This is we just finished week 5, I think, of homeschooling.
Yeah.
I've recently, up until yesterday, we've got a big kitchen table, and so I'd set up my computer, the kids' computers, so we were all working in that space. And then yesterday I had to turf them all out because I was recording some content and I had to use the whole kitchen. So now I'm in their playroom / den / classroom. And, you know, it's just a bit chaotic, but it's fine.
I'm impressed. I mean, I think you guys are nailing it. I'm proud of you all. I'm proud everybody is still alive. And, you know, I think that's the bar.
Yeah, and I would even go as far as to say that we are probably like 40%
Hey, you know what? I mean, I think anything above that is just fucking greedy.
Yeah, 40% happy, 20% anxious, 20% fucking sick of each other, and 20% just tired.
For sure. I mean, I can't even imagine. Like, again, we are all sending you guys the positive stick with this vibes. And we fucking bow down to your ability to do all of this and still be pseudo-sane.
Listen, I'm wearing a jumper that says love, love, love. I'm doing a necklace that says hope. I'm like, I need all the inspirational quotes to get me through this.
Let's all put all your manifesting energy into keeping the UK sane while they deal with lockdown
for another month.
Me.
Yeah, I mean, March the 8th is the very earliest we're going to be out. Yeah. It could even be longer. Who knows? Yeah. Doesn't matter that 1 in 5 people are now vaccinated. Apparently that's not enough.
Well, I was going to say, you guys, I mean, other than Israel, you guys have fucking nailed the vaccine stuff. I don't know if anybody else is watching the news on vaccinations, but the UK has really fucking nailed it on how they're doing it. And so hopefully that will get you guys out sooner.
Well, and I have to say, I'm not, and I don't actually know that much about this, but the general gist I get, Brexit appears to have really helped our vaccination. If we were still in Europe, we'd be fucked, basically.
Right. Well, you guys are getting to make your own decisions, right? You're not having to go by the EU standards, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
And I was obviously a Remainer, but there is a part of me that... And just a quick note on Brexit. I was always a Remainer, hands down, still believe in the power of the community and would love to be part of Europe. But if this is the way we have to go, then I'm desperately hoping I'm proved wrong, right? I'm desperately hoping that actually this turns out to be, you know, better for us. We'll see. Time will tell. But for now,
I mean, who knows?
The vaccines, you know...
I mean, our country, through this last presidency, built a sort of half wall, and that hasn't improved our fucking vaccine plan whatsoever. So, you know, we'll see. I will say my mom has been vaccinated. She got vaccinated this Tuesday, so she's super excited. My grandparents are on their list. So, I mean, they are happening, and they're definitely picking up. So, fuck, we'll see.
Who knows? Maybe we will be able to do our 40th. I'm going to tell you this off air, but I am just going to book an amazing villa somewhere. And if you can make it, you can. If you can't, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, if they'll let me, I will come. I mean,
we will be there.
I'm not allowed in the EU right now, so
that's true. Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll see what happens. But I've just decided we should probably discuss our personal diaries off air.
Let's do it later.
Let's do that. Let's move on to you know, the shit that people actually want to hear about, which is Real Housewives.
The shows.
We're going to kick off. We are going to kick off with the shows, but we also need to do two things. We need to do the rate and review, please. Subscribe. Rate and review. Yes. Subscribe, rate and review. We've been gaining a lot of listeners recently, which is wonderful. So thank you so much for hopping on the TV My Husband Hates train. We've got also extra added value this week because we've brought a third person into our relationship.
Yes, there was a bit of a throuple podcast action going on this week.
There was, indeed. Do you want to tell them who it is?
Sure. So it's this lovely lady from New York named Eliza, and she runs one of the most incredible Instagram accounts on reality TV. It's at FaceReality16. And it's brilliant. And it will take you down those deep, dark holes of everything that's been going on reality TV-wise and social media-wise lately. It's an incredible account. I've been following it for a little while now, and she so graciously decided to come on and chat through the Salt Lake City finale with us. So you're going to hear her at the end of the podcast because it's our last show. But if you can, go follow her now. She will keep you updated on everything. And we'll also put her links in the podcast notes. So you can just go there and click on it and follow her.
And it's really cool because I just don't have the time to scroll through a gazillion different news articles and websites to get the tea. She just collates it all. Everything you need to know is there. So go and check her out. But now, shall we get on with Real
Let's
Housewives
get on
of
with
Atlanta.
That's right. Oh my. And I think we haven't even hit the tip of what this trip entails.
Kenya. I want to be really clear on this because we touched on it last week. I don't think you're messy bringing your kid. I don't even think you're messy taking a private jet and putting everybody else on the Sprinter, because if you don't have to put a small child on an 8-hour bus ride, you don't, right? I get it.
For sure.
I do think you're fucking messy taking Latoya with you and nobody else. Like, that's just... that. Of course that's going to get people's back up.
I mean, it's the tip of the messy iceberg, really. Like, even now looking back, I don't even know if bringing Toya with her on the plane was the messiest thing that she's going to do on this trip.
No, agreed. But in terms of the actual trip, the traveling bit,
yes,
I'm like, you did that on purpose.
For sure. I mean, if anybody is collecting strays, it's Kenya, not Cynthia. I don't consider Drew a stray at all. And really, the show doesn't, because she's holding a peach. Toya is a mess, dude.
She's thirsty. She's here. And I think she's only being messy because she wants to be promoted from friend to cast member. And I do not want her on the show.
Fuck no. She wants that juicy ass peach. And I hope she doesn't get it.
Me too, because she's so desperate for it. And it takes away all the authenticity of what's going on. But also, there's just this edge to Latoya that there's... Even Kenya is messy, but she's not evil. Yeah. I feel like Latoya has a real malice to her.
For sure. I totally agree with you. Like, there's something not right. Like, there's just a weird vibe that, like, I think she tries to play it off. Like, oh, I'm just joking. And she's not.
No. I mean, when she gives that wig, when she says it was coming from a place of good...
No.
It wasn't. It was coming from a place of you're a messy fucking bitch.
For sure. You do not fuck with people's wigs. You don't talk shit about people's wigs.
You don't condescend them and say, oh, I got you a proper wig. So it doesn't look shit. That's not kind.
No. That's being an asshole.
It's being a motherfucking asshole. And I do not like her at all. And I think that she's poisonous in this group. For sure. And I think she's poisonous to the group. I think she's poisonous to Kenya. Like, because she's weaseled her way in there, and like Kenya enjoys that. And so I think it's just going to fuel Kenya being messier, which she doesn't need. No. Because Kenya will rise or fall to whoever she's around, right? So if she's around with some nasty, messy people, she'll be nasty and messy. She's got that capability. But if she's around with people like Candy and Cynthia, she does kind of rise up a bit. And you see her be more thoughtful and empathetic. But I think she's enjoying this ass kissing that Latoya is doing, and this kind of almost like this fangirling over Kenya, I think she's really getting a hit out of that.
You are 100% correct. Fangirling is exactly the right word for what's going on between them. And I mean, let's be real. Like, Kenya is not in a good place in her life. She's dealing with this stupid divorce, this messy dude. And like, you know, it's really hit at her self-confidence, which I 100% get. And I'm trying to keep in mind. But at the same time, I'm like, you have real friends in like Candy and Cynthia that can really help you through this in a much more positive way than this thirst trap.
Yeah, and I mean, they have to still remember that these women are not 19. They're not in high school. Like,
they're older than we are.
They are older than we are, and I can't ever imagine behaving like that. But like, also, I don't like the way that Latoya has it in for Drew. I don't like the way she's pinpointing all this insecurity and jealousy, because that's all I can see it as. And I fucking love that Drew comes out with a photo, signs her a fan photo, to my biggest fan. It was such a moment fucking of queen. Like, love you.
For sure. That is how you deal with somebody like Toya. And I think Drew got it perfectly right. I love her for it. And I want her to be around. Simply like after this action, she needs to be around part of this cast because she knows how to handle these like gross comments. And I think she's there. I think Drew is on the show for like genuine reasons, right? Like she wants to be friends with these women. She brings something new to the table. She is a little bit younger and has younger kids, which I think is always nice to kind of keep the series fresh a little bit, to put the housewives back in the housewives of. But Toya needs to fucking go, man. Like, it can't be soon enough for me.
No, I agree. And I think you're right. I think we do need to age down a little bit across all the franchises, because I know that they all started off at a certain point, but the people watching it are generally our age, right? That's got to make up the bulk. It's got to be like 30s, early 40s. Yeah. I think beyond 50, which is where these women are, people are dropping off. And I want to see people like me, right? I appreciate seeing Drew because I can relate to her and Ralph. I mean, not her and Ralph specifically, but thank God. Yeah. But, you know, but marriage problems in general.
Absolutely.
Young kids, juggling it all. I don't really want to see... I mean, Cynthia, great, fine. But you're marrying again. I'm not interested.
No, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that's the only way that these franchises can stay relevant, is that after a few years, they do need a full cast reboot. And, you know, I think like Portia can 100% stay because Portia's kind of in that realm of her life. And I think that's just what kind of needs to happen, because I think you're right. Like the majority of people who watch these shows are our age. I mean, my mom still does, but my mom would appreciate seeing more of that, because that's what real people identify with, like relationship struggles, the whole work-life balance, like all the things that modern women face. That's what we want to see. We want to see how they deal with it and how, you know, maybe we could deal with it better or worse, or, you know, whatever.
Totally, because it's, yes, okay, the disconnect is the money. They've all got tons more money than us. But even as Candy says on this, like, money doesn't make you a parent. So I find it fascinating to watch people in different circumstances with tons of money still struggle with the same fucking things that we struggle with as mums. And, you know, people can say, I thought that interlude in the bus on the way with Marlo go, well, why? She's got money. She's got money. Why is she bringing a kid? She's got money. Yeah. And I thought, do you know what? That's so interesting that Marlo, somebody without children, I mean, I know she's got her nephews, but like without birthing children, is just so dismissive of kind of the real weight of parenting, or so ignorant of it. And Candy's like, this is not what parenting is. Like, you can't just pay for somebody to look after your kid if you don't trust them or know them. Like, it's baffling.
This is what I love watching Candy, because obviously Candy did all this being very successful, but also being a single mother. And then we're seeing her do it again, having a partner and kind of not touring as much and all that. I love watching kind of Candy do this journey. I also think she's one of the best people on the show. I love that she can say that to Marlo and Marlo doesn't pop off, because I think anybody else says it to Marlo, like, she just doesn't understand. I was hoping Marlo would understand more being about a parent after taking on her nephews, because everything that I saw, she was doing it on her own. Like, it was just her and the boys at the house, and she was really doing it. I mean, obviously, I think she has other family members helping her out, but it's disappointing to see Marlo react this way to what Kenya's dealing with, when Marlo is kind of, in a way, being a single mom to her nephews. I'm disappointed in Marlo for that.
Yeah, and I think whatever you think of Kenya and whatever you think of people with money, if you're a single mom trying to work and make a living, whatever the bills are that you're paying, that's a real weight. And Candy says she doesn't have a village, and we know she's not in a great place.
Right.
So there is a real, I can really be compassionate. I can show compassion for Kenya. But Latoya can take a fucking long run off a short cliff, as far as I'm concerned.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Before we move on to Below Deck, Marlo quickly and Kenya, what is it with these two? Like, they just need, like, Marlo's like, I'm so hurt, and then says, but your ass is fake. It's like,
you know what? Like, I think these two are the very definition of frenemies. Like, I think they can't be without each other, but they also don't like each other. And honestly, I think that's fine, but I think we need to stop trying to make it be what it's not. Like, if you're not friends with her, then stop inviting Marlo on trips. Like, but if you like the banter, then like the fucking banter and stop flying off the handle about it. Like, you can't have it both ways.
No, don't come and just make her feel shit about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I get that Marlo is a princess and we always have her divaing about the rooms, but I did get the impression that in this particular instance, it wasn't just a room. I felt like Marlo was genuinely, like, she was hurt because she just thought, God, Kenya really doesn't like me. Like, this isn't just old school banter and that, like, we'll be fine. She's like, fuck, she really hates me.
Yeah.
I felt for her a little bit on that.
I did too. I mean, I don't ever feel for Kenya in this instance, and I don't know why that is. But I just feel like she's malicious about it. Like, she has that edge. You knew what giving that room to her would do. Is there another room? Like, we don't know. There could be another room that she just didn't give anybody because she wanted to give Marlo the shit room. I don't know.
I mean,
somebody was going to have the shit room. Like,
well, no, because there's a bonus room, remember?
Was there?
Tanya gets to move.
That's
she wins the ridiculous murder mystery. So she's really gone out of her way to make Marlo
Well, why didn't Marlo
miserable.
Just move into Tanya's old room then?
I don't know if Marlo knew at the time. I don't know. Because I don't think they'd gone to their rooms by the time the murder mystery. I think they went after. Anyway.
Can we have a chat about the murder mystery? It was like the most terrible murder mystery I've ever seen in my life. And I've never even done one, but all the ones I've seen on television have been far better scripted than this one right here. It was a mess.
I don't think it helped that the girls were zero, apart from Candy, bless her, had zero interest. She just wanted to win. But yeah, it was pretty awful. If they were hoping that this was going to be an advert to help them get more bookings, I literally went completely the other way.
Yeah. Well, the previews for next week look pretty spicy because there is some spiciness on this trip in the way of male strippers and other things happening. I think there's going to be a lot to chat about next week. So yeah, that's it for the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Okay, thanks for that, guys. And let's move on to Below Deck, where the heat is rising between Francesca and Elizabeth. And I've never really been a fan of Elizabeth, but I am more and more heading towards Team Francesca.
100%. Like, I have also never been a fan of Elizabeth's. And I feel like every week she's just proving, like, Francesca right again. Like, I almost want her to be like Hannah, where, like, if you challenge her, she's gonna fucking prove and you eat pro, right? That's what I want to see from Elizabeth. But I feel just every week she's just proving Francesca more right as the weeks go on.
I agree, and I think the problem is it's not that Elizabeth is making mistakes, although she is making a lot of mistakes, but it's her attitude. Like, You got busted
Yeah.
in a guest cabin. Now, I have never in my life been on a super yacht, but I know that that's probably one of the biggest taboos, is to go into a guest cabin without having permission. But rather than own it and go, we fucked up, I'm really sorry, she's like, she gets all defensive.
Yeah. Well, and like argues fine points. Like, well, there was no sleeping going on. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, you know that's not what she means. Stop being a dick.
Fucking semantics. You were there from the night before till the next morning.
Yeah.
Fuck
you
off.
spent the night there, regardless of what you were doing.
And you're turning 30 and you're acting like a fucking 13-year-old.
Well, she's also acting like a 13-year-old about her birthday too. Like, look, I'm a big one for birthdays. I love celebrating my birthday. I'd like it to be like a whole month. I'd like it to be a big thing. But if I'm fucking working, I'm fucking working. Like, I'm not wanting everybody at work to drop everything to celebrate my birthday. I mean, I want them to come have drinks with me when we can, but like, that's not possible.
I do have to say though, and I agree, she's being a big fat baby.
Yeah.
But I think, James, heads up, if you are sleeping with somebody, regardless really of whether you see it going, if you are currently sleeping with somebody and they are celebrating a birthday, you got to do something. At the very least, give her a birthday kiss. But really,
yes.
Really a dinner, a card, make her feel a bit special, something. You can't sleep with her and ignore her birthday. It's just fucking rude.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bad timing on your behalf that you've just started sleeping with her. You really only have yourself to blame, because I'm pretty sure she's been talking about her birthday for ages, so you knew it was coming. That's the type of person she is. But you're absolutely right. Like, a quick little, like, happy... I mean, did he even say happy birthday to her?
Not that we saw. And then when she's like, so I'm going to go to bed, he's like, right then, good night.
Like, I think he's doing it on purpose. Like, no one can be... I don't know. I almost wonder if James is doing it on purpose because he's still a little bit pissed off. So he's just like, I'm going to fuck with her and like just pretend her birthday's not happening. Like, not to then like give her a big surprise, but just to be an asshole.
Well, for all the kind of lack of will that Elizabeth has with James, she's now pissed. Like, whatever he's done before, she's always forgiven and it's fine. But like now she's pissed. Like, she's a force to be... I don't think her energy healer is going to be able to get him out of this fucking bullshit.
I'm sorry, but if you were 30 years old and you've got money to spend on an energy healer, we need to have a chat.
Why are you working on a boat? Like,
right. You obviously have plenty of money that doesn't need to be earmarked for anything. So,
to be honest, I have to like really convince myself to go and pay to get my fucking car cleaned rather than do it myself. I'm like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, is this 20 quid that I could probably save and do it myself? If you've got money to throw away on an energy healer, then, you know, we need to have some sort of explanation as to what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. I mean, so what do you think? Do you think they're going to get rid of Elizabeth before the end of the season?
Yes. Absolutely. 100%. I think she's going to be gone.
You think Francesca and Aisling are just going to do it themselves, or do you think they're going to try to bring someone else on?
I don't know, but I think she's going to go.
Interesting. I do as well. Like, I think it'll be interesting if they do that. I think they've needed to do it for a while.
Oh, yeah. I mean, poor Francesca, I think, has just been like... And I think, interestingly, to see both Francesca and Aisling in tears over the whole situation, as much as at the time I was like, why are you both crying?
Yeah.
I thought, when I thought about it, I was like, hang on, these two girls have done nothing but show me that they're hard workers, they're experienced crew members. If both of them are in tears because this woman is making their... There is something that is not right. Like, Elizabeth needs to go.
Right. And I think we all have to remember, like, we don't see them 100% of the time. So there could be a lot of stuff that we don't see. I think we have to give people the benefit of the doubt. And you're absolutely right. Like, if these two are crying because their job is so fucking hard, then she needs to go. Which, weirdly enough, is like totally the opposite opinion of everyone on social media. Everyone on social media... and like Team Elizabeth. Again, the situation where I'm like, are we fucking watching the same show? I don't think we are.
It's mind-blowing. She's just an entitled little twat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
100%.
I don't think I've used the word twat on this podcast before.
No, cunt for sure, but twat, I don't think so.
Also, to the Americans, I believe that you say twat.
We do say twat. You are correct. A little translation for those who needed it.
Yeah, I got you. Let's talk about Izzy, because she's also struggling. I am like blown away by Rob's commitment to his dickheadery.
I could almost admire it because he literally has done nothing else on this boat. I mean, he's just kind of vanilla, and then he has to like, this is the stance he's taking, and it's just like,
He
all
has,
right.
up until now, been totally harmless, very quiet and shy.
A little weird.
And last week we got at him for the same thing, but I genuinely thought it was like, oh, I've just heard about this news, so I'm just going to be an asshole and then I'll go on board.
Yeah.
No, he's really committing. He's really committing.
He's really committed to being a dickhead about this, and I don't think it's a good look.
No, and I think Izzy is handling it really, really well. Like, I think she's doing her very best to stay professional and calm.
I think she's killing it at being
her.
professional and calm. Like, I would have thought she would have flipped the fuck out or been extra harsh on him. Like, she is rapidly becoming one of my favorite people on this boat. And at first, I fucking hated her.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like her at all. But as soon as she got onto the exterior, she became a new person. She works hard. You know, and this is the thing, though. The boys are entitled. They don't get that as a woman on that boat, she knows she has to work 5 times harder. In doing so, she ended up being made lead deckhand. And now they're like crying like babies. And James is dealing with it. Like, okay, he's ribbing her a bit. But Rob
that's
is
their
really
relationship. Like,
yeah,
I think Izzy and him have that relationship kind of already. Like, they're just going to banter and give each other a hard time. So I don't feel like it's mean from him. But Rob is fucking
from
mean.
Rob, it's mean. Yeah. It's ugly. And I'm glad that she's going to tell Eddie, and I really hope that Eddie fucking lays down the law, but it's sad that he has to.
Yeah, I feel like he will. I really respect Eddie for the way he kind of handles things. Like, I mean, he's not misogynistic at all about a lot of this stuff. Like, he just sees people as like deckhands and not deckhands. So,
yeah,
you know, it's not a big deal to him. And I hope he does fucking rip Rob a new one, because he definitely deserves it. He's not being cool.
Also, I think let's discuss Captain Lee on this one, because more than ever we are hearing him being very open about his son who died from an overdose just last year. And it almost felt like the universe had brought him and these charter guests together for a reason.
For sure. I didn't realize that the son who passed away was the only child between Captain Lee and his
I didn't
wife,
either.
Which is, I mean, it's heartbreaking anyways, but I think, you know, that's a fact that I didn't know, and it kind of drew it home a little bit. First off, these guests, if you have ever seen the documentary The Queen of Versailles, that's who these guests are. If you want to know more about them, go watch that documentary. It's fascinating. But yeah, I thought it was really nice to see that interaction between the guests and the captain. I think he needed to hear a lot of the things that they were saying. And it was, I think, really nice for him to know that, I mean, obviously he knows people out there are struggling with the same thing, but I think having that one-on-one time with them was really good for him. I mean, I also think it brought up a lot of stuff, but I enjoyed watching that interaction between them. That was the only time those guests were being real as well.
And I think it's really generous of Captain Lee and the guests to be sharing those conversations on TV, because he would have had every right to say, look, it's just, we're not going there.
Right.
But I think in the same way that he's really benefited from hearing them talk about it. And I think the Queen of Versailles says that at the time. She says, you know, you just got to keep talking about it to keep helping people. Seeing that will help people. And that is true, real, hard, awful pain. And,
fuck yeah.
You know, for him to share that is, you know, I think we all have to really appreciate that and recognize it and respect it, because he didn't have to do that.
No, and the guests didn't. I mean, you can say a lot about these people as guests and people in general, but they didn't have to share about their kid either. And
No.
they did. And I thought, that was a real moment on the boat. And I don't think we haven't had a lot of those between like the guests and captain or, any of those real human moments. And I think like I can appreciate for what it is. And I feel
Yeah.
really kind of lucky to have seen that moment in a way. I don't know how to explain it.
No, I think it's a privilege, right? It's a
Yeah.
privilege for us to have been able to share that with them. And I feel like Below Deck in general is spicing up a little bit towards as we reach the end. Not that Captain Lee's devastation is spicing it up, but certainly the tensions on board, because we also see Rachel now really starting to lose her patience with Francesca. And this is like one of these things
Yeah.
where I don't see what Rachel sees. Like the way that she is with James, the way she hates him so much. I still see him doing her fucking dishes, just saying.
Right.
And she's just written Francesca off as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rachel takes things to the extreme. Like, I think obviously, I mean, I do think it was Francesca, like the mahi thing. I do feel was Francesca's fault for not being consistent in the way she took the order. Like that was the one line that she wrote them next to each other. But all in all, it was a fucking honest mistake.
Yeah.
And so I think that it should be taken that way. I think Rachel goes from 0 to 100. Like there's no in between with her. Like either we're fine or I fucking hate you. There's no like I can
You see,
just deal.
for me, this is maybe tied up in her issues with alcoholism and her kind of,
Her addict
I guess, a kind of functioning addict that when she's not on the drugs, when she's not on the alcohol, even though she's able to do her job, emotionally she's incredibly volatile and unpredictable, and it's very scary. Like she's vicious and she's violent with her language.
Yeah,
like we
super
see
defensive. Like
super
it's
defensive.
just an honest fucking mistake. Make another mahi mahi and move on. Like,
but also we see her in the trailers for next episode, like saying you just fucking shit at your job, like on the job. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think that there's a lot that I'm so interested to see her in the reunion and to see how she dissects what she's seen on the show.
yeah. I mean, this is one thing I do. I mean, I'm constantly sticking up for probably everybody, but I do wonder how much of like, because obviously coronavirus is going on. She is worried about like her dude. Like, I wonder how much that is actually kind of playing into escalating her drinking and maybe like escalating all this stuff from what's going on. I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, because on paper, she doesn't seem like she should be this way. But I feel like ever since like she heard about coronavirus and her like not her boyfriend like not being able to come out or them not being able to get together, I feel like that was the point where then we've seen this like different Rachel. And I don't know if it's just we didn't really see a lot of her before or what, but it's interesting.
Well, I can't wait. Like, I'm interested to see. We'll find all that stuff out in the reunion.
Yeah. No, it'll be a good one, I think.
I do too. Speaking of people who seem to have split personalities, let's move on to Real Housewives of Dallas. Again, this show is delivering. I'm really, really delighted that they brought Tiffany in. I think she is such a great addition because not only is she smart and all the rest of it, but she's kind of acting as this touchstone where all the others are now like being highlighted against. And Kary is really struggling in her life. Like she just is out of her depth with Tiffany. And in general, Kary is so mixed up at the moment. I don't get it.
I think Kary is deeply unhappy with her. I think here it is. Like, I think last season we saw Kary finally gaining some like a little bit of independence from her husband in both like monetary and giving her something to do by starting this business, starting her jewelry line. She was really excited about it. Then I think we see coronavirus like that hurt her business. I feel like Kary is feeling trapped as fuck. like not only by like having to stay home, but like now like the income that she saw herself getting is now not as much. The freedom she thought she was gaining has now been kind of taken away. I feel like she feels trapped as fuck. Obviously can't be that trapped as fuck person with her kids in her day-to-day life. So she's lashing out at her friends because there's a lot of like anger and feelings of being trapped in her life. That's my
100% agree with you, but I do get a little bit tired of her.
For sure.
Of her like spinning this victim line, like, I don't have any independence. I don't have any financial independence. I don't have all of this. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But she's not prepared to stick up for herself and find that financial independence to the point at which she might risk losing Edward. Do you know what I mean? It's
for sure.
I sort of want financial independence, but not if it's going to rock the boat with, my money man.
Or maybe I don't want to do that much work to get that financial.
No. And also,
separation.
She's like, if Eduardo was to leave me, I'd be penniless and just relying on my jewelry. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, you're married. There's such a thing as fucking alimony and child support.
Right,
You've still
right.
got kids of that age. Like, let's not sit here and say that you would be out on your ass living on the streets and your
Right.
jewelry line is great. I admire. Sorry, my watch decides to talk to me. I admire any woman who is building a business.
Yeah.
But this, she's pretty fucking privileged to build a
She's
business
way
that to be
fucking
turning over
privileged.
100,000 in its first year is mental and must have meant a lot of investment to get there. So, Kary, I get, like, your daughter, absolutely different issue. But
For
I'm
sure.
sick of hearing the financial independence thing. You can do it if you really want to do it.
Well, and here's the thing. I did not like the way she brought her daughter up as like a fucking chip to be thrown
I
on
didn't
the goddamn
either.
table. I thought it was super gross. And she did it to hurt Tiffany and like shame Tiffany. And I'm not fucking down with that. Like, you do not use your kids to fucking shame anybody else. Like,
No, and you don't do it in general, but to do it on
Yeah.
TV as well.
fuck
To put
you.
your kids' mental health, like, not okay. But then she did it again. And as much as I really appreciated the conversation Kary had with her eldest daughter in the office,
Right.
I really thought that the way she spoke to her was brilliant. This idea of, if you were going through a hard time and I didn't know, I'm really sorry. All of that was true. But again, why is this happening on television? Like, Sophia immediately says, I don't want to talk about it. I hope it's happening offline as well, but it feels
Right.
like it's all very well putting your own shit out there. But putting your kid in that position for such a vital conversation
Yeah.
that should have happened a long time ago, let's be frank.
Right.
To do it, to choose this as your moment to do it, just felt
Icky.
icky. And I'm not, to be clear, I am
Yeah.
not undermining her intentions. I do believe her intentions were good. I know she's on a reality TV show. But I
Yeah.
think sometimes this is where your judgment has to kick in.
For sure.
I wouldn't want to have that conversation for the first time with my daughter on a reality TV show.
I mean, just playing devil's avocado for a moment, maybe they did already have that conversation and they decided to put it on the show in case anybody else wasn't having that discussion, because it's a fucked up place that we live right now, and a lot of people are experiencing anxiety and mental health issues that they previously haven't due to the fucking shitstorm that's outside. So playing devil's avocado, I hope that was the situation, that they're like, you know what, we should talk about this on the show in case some other kids are struggling the same way or moms aren't noticing or whatever. But I think that's giving Kary too much credit.
I mean, I think so. And even if that's the case, it felt very clear that her daughter didn't want to be part of that conversation.
Right.
And I was
For
like,
sure.
that just has to be your priority. That
Yeah.
being said, as much as they exploited her daughter to do it, I do think it was modelling of a really great way of talking
Right.
to your children and checking in with them. And I think Kary has done that on a number of occasions. And the time we saw her talking to her other daughter, Olivia, last episode, felt great because it was
Yeah.
clear Olivia was on board with that. She was up for talking about it. This
Right.
one didn't feel great. And
I don't think this
I
one
felt
wants to be
bad
on
for
TV.
her daughter.
For
No.
sure. No.
And that felt really icky. So Kary's going through a lot, but I felt for Deandra as well in this episode because Kary sort of threw out this "my daughter's suicidal" thing, which, however she used it,
Right.
regardless, the fact is her daughter is struggling.
For sure.
And that immediately meant that every single woman went, "Oh, well, we have to forgive, Kary for everything." And Deandra was like, "Hang on a minute, she has been vile to me."
And she's supposed to be my best friend. Why have we never had this conversation? And I think that's valid. Like, we've been spending all this time together. Why, you know that I'm a child, like, because Deandra's father has committed suicide. She's been very open about that. There is a disconnect there that, like, if these two were such good friends, don't you think if you knew your friend had been through this as well, you'd be like, oh my gosh, my daughter's really struggling. Do you have any, like, how should we approach this? Do you think we should talk to her?
I mean, all of this, I think she's mad that now everybody is saying to her, you need to give her a break. And it's like, hang on a minute. I get that she's going through some shit and that's fine.
She's still
But on a human level, she feels really hurt because her best friend's been an asshole to her. And regards her daughter, I mean, I hear what you're saying totally.
Yeah.
Of course, it's Kary's decision to talk to who she wants about it. And I think Deandra could have handled that better. I think rather than saying, why didn't you tell me? I think she could have said something like, I'm sorry you felt you couldn't tell me.
Right.
But either way, I really felt for Deandra. I feel a bit like Kary manipulated the whole situation and left Deandra out in the cold. And now Deandra just has to get over the fact that Kary's been bullying her. And I'm going to say it. She's been bullying her, picking her out in the crowd, making her feel small. And as far as Brandys' birthday that she organised went, I don't know what Kary's bitching about. That looked like a pretty fucking perfect day to me.
And who the fuck cares? Like, Kary needs to back the fuck off. Brandy was having a great time. Everybody else was having a good time. You're just being an asshole. And you need to own you're just being an asshole. Look, it's just like when I'm about to have my period and I'm like, you know what? I'm probably going to be an asshole this week. And I just need to own that. And I need to be vocal about it and be like, look, I'm starting my period at the end of the week. I'm feeling really frustrated at really tiny things. I'm probably going to just be an asshole. I'm sorry. Like, you need to be fucking self-aware of your behavior, your intentions, and how, you project onto other people. And Kary is not.
No, absolutely. And it's devastating to watch because it's just so ugly. And then you see somebody like Tiffany who is going through this kind of struggle that I guess every working mum to a certain extent goes through, which is I really appreciated the way that she phrased it. And she's like, look, I spent all this time trudging and trekking and working really hard to get to the top of the mountain. I get to the top of the mountain. I'm like, what did I climb the mountain for?
I love this conversation.
Me too. And it was like this crisis of confidence, this sort of existential crisis where she's just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what is the right thing to do right now?
For sure. And I think that's a very real thing that we all go through. I mean, I think I've definitely gone through it after having both of my kids. I'm probably still going through it a little bit now that my youngest will be in school full time next year. So it's like, oh shit, like, did I make the right decision taking time off and starting my own thing? Now I'm fucking almost 40 and like, where am I in my career life? Because I have kind of put that on hold. I'm probably more Stephanie than I am Tiffany.
Yeah.
Because Tiffany obviously made the opposite decision, but the struggle is the same. I don't feel like as moms, we ever feel like we get it right. Like there's no right decision.
But also she's dealing with like two types of mum guilt. So obviously she's got like mum guilt for her kids, but I feel like she's also got mum guilt for her own mum. Like this pressure that, I mean, I'm going to talk about it in the context of Asian kids and families because she talks about it in that context.
For sure.
This idea of tiger mums and the pressure that she was put under to perform and to succeed at all costs is such a heavy burden to carry.
You mean to Tiffany?
I meant to carry a heavy burden.
Got it.
As in carrying.
Got it. No, I mean, I think you're 100% right. We talked about it a lot when we talked about family karma as well, in kind of predominantly like Asian communities, be it Indian Chinese, what have you, also dealing with first generation immigrants is also a thing
Yeah.
here as well. And that is what Tiffany is. Tiffany's kind of not even, her kids are first generation because she was born in China. But I can't imagine that sort of pressure in being put on kids, but also seeing those kids fucking rise to it. Like, I mean, there's the flip side of that coin is Tiffany has kicked ass her entire life.
But she's fortunate because she's smart, right? Imagine being the kid that isn't that smart.
For sure.
And being the constant disappointment. And in fact, it doesn't work because even if you're smart, you make it, you find yourself in Tiffany's position fucking screwed whichever way she turns. And it's just this epic battle that we all fight at some point to greater or lesser extent of trying to be everything to everybody. And I think Tiffany, and it must be devastating because you can tell that she is so passionate. She doesn't just do her job because it's like a sexy thing to do. She truly loves being a doctor. And it's such a shit position for women, career women and mothers to find themselves in, to have to make that, or to feel like they have to make that choice. Because her husband's not feeling like he has to make that choice.
Fuck no.
I mean, I don't know his setup, but generally women are made to feel like they have to make that choice. And it's not fair. And I don't know. It just breaks my heart because she's so accomplished and she's such a great mum. And I just want to say, do you know what? Fuck it. Keep doing you because I can tell you're a great mum.
Yeah. Everybody watching can tell you're a great mom. Like, your kids adore you. Your kids are very fucking proud of what you do. And I think that's amazing. I also think she's got a very supportive partner in all of this. And I think you can tell that just from hearing how this conversation is going, right? Like, he's listening. I think he'll support her. I mean, I get the sense he'll support whatever she fucking wants to do.
Yeah.
But it's that deciding what you want to do. That's the hang up, right? Like,
well, she wants both, right? She wants to be a kick-ass doctor and she also wants to be a great mom. And guys get to be that. Guys get to be fucking CEOs and be great dads that their daughters adore, or sons. But it's not the same for her. Like, she's not made to feel like that is a possibility, and it is a possibility.
Yeah, for sure. I love her. I'm so happy she's on this show now.
Me too.
I think I've always been a huge fan of Dallas. I'm liking this season far better than last season. I like the dynamics of these girls together. Even Kary, like, hopefully shit will come around. Though, I mean, she could go, and I think I would still enjoy the group dynamic for sure. But
did you hear that Miami's coming back?
I did, and I watched Miami ages ago.
Me too.
So it'll be interesting to see who they're bringing back for Miami for sure. I hope it's new people because I think it will be the same issue where, you know.
I mean, I'm surprised they took it away because Miami just seems like such a great hotbed of characters. But I also think I think it's a great opportunity for them to really diversify. And I think that's probably something
that's why they're
you know,
bringing it
to
back.
be honest,
yeah,
one of the reasons. If they ditched Orange County and just replaced it with Miami, I'd be fine with that.
For sure. For sure. I'd agree with that.
Anyway, let's move on. We are about to introduce our guest. She is joining us from New York. She's going to be helping us discuss Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So let's head over and chat all about that right now.
We are here with Eliza, who runs the most fantastic Instagram account called Face Reality 16. How you doing, Eliza?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, Kat? Kat's here too.
I'm great. We just got to the end of another, because obviously I'm in London, so at the end of Friday, but we just got to the end of another week of homeschooling. As far as I know, the head count is still the same as it was at the beginning of the week, although it was a close call at times. But yeah, I mean, we're fine. We're good. I'm just really excited to have not that I'm bored of you, Reagan, but it's always nice to shake it up with a third person.
I absolutely feel the same way. So
obviously that only applies to podcasts in less so marriages, you know, generally. You know? But Eliza, thank you so much. We're so excited. So you have built this podcast, which is at Face Reality 16. Instagram.
Not a podcast.
Sorry. I told you it's the end of a week of homeschooling. Tell us about the Instagram account. How did it start and what's it all about?
So about almost 3 years ago, I started I had a Twitter account and that was fun. But I started kind of putting videos together of, actually Southern Charm was the show that I put together this video of like Shep and Catherine, kind of like a music video of like their love, because they were in like kind of pushing that on the show at the time. And I posted it on some Facebook pages, and everyone was like, you need an Instagram. And so I started that. And honestly, it just started out as somewhere for me to put my Bravo ideas out there, and never really expected it to get to this size. And now it's just a fun creative outlet for me to post my ideas, my jokes, my responses to Bravo and entertainment and anything like that. So it's just a fun thing that I use to escape my my little life.
For sure. I mean, that's essentially why we started the podcast, so we can totally relate.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you, Reagan. You go ask the next question.
Well, I mean, do we have any more questions, or shall we just get into it?
Oh, well, I tell you what, I've got one more question quickly.
Okay.
We are going to be discussing Salt Lake City. I am really excited to find out, first of all, your thoughts generally on this newest franchise from Bravo. Do you think it's got legs? We know that the viewing figures haven't been that great, but I've really enjoyed it. What do you think?
I've really enjoyed it. I honestly am usually the type to wait a few seasons, and I'll check it out eventually if it holds up. But it had a lot of buzz, and also, what else are we gonna do but watch Bravo at this time in our lives? So I was pleasantly surprised. I feel it has a very different feel than the other Housewives shows, as far as a lot more actual marriages in the show, and just a lot more layers. I never expected it to be like one of the most diverse shows on Bravo, Housewife shows. So I'm enjoying it, and definitely have a lot to say about each of the ladies. They all bring a lot to the table.
Well,
They
speaking
do.
of
And this is, go on, you go, Reagan.
speaking of the ladies, do you have a favorite? Who's your favorite of Salt Lake City?
I don't know why, but I just love Meredith. I think her energy is just so, she's laid back, but she's always got, an opinion. And, watching her struggles with her marriage was really, she really opened up a lot. Her business, her and her son's relationship. I don't know. She just cracks me up.
She cracked me up too. I mean, it's fitting that you bring her up, because I feel like she swooped in at the end of this season in this finale and stole the fucking show with that mask. Have you ever? Can we just do a quick thumbs up or thumbs down on the mask? Like, is that high fashion and people just don't understand it, or is it just a bit fucking ridiculous? I think it's ridiculous.
100%.
Never. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
Did you guys see
the?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just
gonna say it was a little bit of a prediction of what we were gonna live through, and then next. Didn't realize
I know it was kind of this weird foreshadowing of what was coming, and nobody knew.
Yeah,
absolutely. I loved Whitney's take on the whole mask thing, doing like the double blue masks.
Hilarious.
She's hilarious.
Yeah, and talking of favorite character, I mean, I think Whitney's up there with one of my favorite characters as well.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your
let's
least...
talk about. Oh, go on.
Who's your least favorite character?
I started out really not connecting with Lisa, but as the show went on, I like her more. I don't think Mary will be back. I don't hate her, but I just feel like she's not quite. She's a little problematic. Her background and everything, as far as what's going on with the church. So I like her on the show, but I just don't really know if she's going to be back.
Yeah, I question what she brings to the show personally.
Yeah.
Just because she's not, I mean, she's kind of like Nene in the last season of Atlanta, right? Like you never knew if she was going to be in it or not. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with you on that one.
Me too. But let's get on to this finale episode, the final one, and a 3-part reunion coming up.
Crazy.
Crazy. So first of all, we start off with obviously the fallout from Vegas, because that has been some kind of crazy. And we see Lisa and Jen getting together for a drink. Now, was anybody surprised to see those two hooking up and connecting?
I was, for sure, because I mean, the last time that we kind of, like, she was very adamant, like, I am not going to be her friend. I don't need her in my life. Like, she drew a fucking line in that little chat that they had in the hotel room and was like not having any of it. So it was kind of weird that she was like the first one to like reach out to her and try to like mend that friendship. I don't know. I thought it was weird.
I thought it was weird too, but I kind of identify with that, because I sort of feel like I'm that person as well, that like you want to make it right. You don't want to be intentionally mean. So even if I'm not going to be friends with somebody, I'd rather have a sit down chat and just hear them out and then move. And I wonder if that's what Lisa was doing. And it's hard because up until the last 2 episodes, Lisa has been nothing but like just a nightmare. And I've had to do this 180 on her and actually see her as quite an empathetic, quite a caring, kind-hearted soul, which is still very difficult for me to get on board with.
I think
What do you think, Eliza?
I think seeing her, like she explained, seeing her in the elevator, seeing Jen in the elevator, just kind of broken down, and I think that really is part of what's got her to reach out. Just knowing that as much as she comes off with this hard exterior, she's clearly got this broken side to her, and that's really what's causing her to lash out on people. And yeah, I was definitely surprised that Lisa was the one to reach out. And I mean, I guess she didn't, out of everyone, she really didn't directly attack Lisa as much as she directly attacked Meredith, Heather, Whitney. So she was the least kind of affected by what Jen did. And so she was maybe in the best position to, find that olive branch and say, what's going on? Can you talk to me? And so.
For sure. You know what I'm super glad about, though? That it wasn't Heather.
I know. Do you know what? We're going to come on to this, but I love, and I wrote in my notes, when you see Heather at the beginning, like bossing her stuff around in that new beauty lab and making it all happen and all the rest of it. And I'm thinking, all this confidence and badassery that she's showing in her business and this, like, I am in charge, I want her to do that in her personal life. And then we're going to talk about it. But I feel like she does do that a little bit at the end. And I was literally like, yes, go Heather.
For
very
sure.
Invested. But sticking with Lisa, can we just talk a minute about her kids and their brand? How do we feel about this?
I think it's great that she's, instilling these values of entrepreneurship basically in her kids. But it's also a little bit of her way of being like, this way I can, expand my business and spend time with my kids. And it's like, maybe she needs to find like a way to do that without business being involved and money making being involved.
I totally agree with you, Eliza, because in my head I was just like, so she's just figured out a way to like still work more and just occasionally see the kids more too. She hasn't really done what her husband's asked her to do, which is like make a little bit more time for him and the kids.
Well, and also, I mean, I agree they will learn something, I'm sure. That 9-year-old looked to me like he wished he was absolutely anywhere else but in that meeting room.
Wouldn't you?
I get that, because he's 9. All he wants to do is play fucking Fortnite. But I also was like, actually, how much are you teaching? Because really all you've done is bankrolled some kind of airy fairy dream that they think now, oh, well, if I ask mummy for this is what I get. I was like, why don't you just take them to the trampoline park? Like, that's more spending. I don't like doing it either. Like, I'm not a big play mum. I'm playful. Like, I'll mess about and I'll dance in the kitchen, do that. But if you ask me to play fucking tea parties, I'm not interested. So I get it, but you do still do it every now and again, But she just doesn't have that. She just wants more money all the time.
Yeah.
A little bit dark.
Yeah, it for sure is. It's for sure dark. But you know what? Part of me is wondering though, like, is it dark for men to want to do the same thing? Like, do women ever go to their husbands and like, hey, can you, stop building all these businesses because you're not spending enough time with kids? Would it be the same if Lisa asked her husband to do that? Because I don't think it would.
No, and I'm not. I absolutely agree, and I think that there is definitely a double standard. But I think dads and mums working, if you need to spend more time with your kids, or if you want to, or if your kids want you to spend more time with them, then like do it. Don't like say you're doing it and then fake it and just actually take them to work with you. That I'm not sure was what they were asking. Now, Mary, we talked a little bit about Mary at the beginning, Eliza. What about this scene with her in the choir? Like they looked scared. I'm going to say it. They looked fucking scared to me.
Yeah, there's an interesting dynamic there, and telling that guy not to gain weight and drink more water when he clearly was in perfectly fine shape, and I don't know what's going on. I just feel like there's a very dark side that we don't see. And then I just feel like Bravo's not going to want to touch that. It's definitely come out a little bit in the backgrounds of social media, and Bravo might have learned their
there's
lesson.
definitely a culty vibe.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, there's also a ton of money involved. And this is when it all becomes so fucking weird. Like, Mary is making gazillions out of this church. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see how the two can be compatible. How can you be a spiritual leader and take all this fucking... I just don't get it. I don't get it. I couldn't sit in that congregation and go, you're amazing. Like, I'm struggling to feed my kids, but I'm glad that you're showing me the way from your mansion.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty common in American, in like American religion. I mean, it goes back to Catholicism, obviously, but what I didn't like about it was like, she's just fucking mean to them, like yelling at the people in the choir. Like, these people are not paid to be here. It's not like a paid position to be in a church choir. They're donating their time. They want to grow spiritually, and you're being a fucking asshole to them. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like a spiritual leader to me.
No.
I mean, we've spoken a lot about Mary on this, and actually, like, I think that, like you say, there's not just a dark side to the church, but I think there's a very dark side to Mary, which inevitably comes from the craziness of being essentially arranged marriage to your step grandfather at a young age, which I can only imagine has probably never been something she's dealt with. Hence the crazy, because there is a brilliantly inspiring element of crazy to Mary. But yeah, I mean, she's so volatile. You never know what you're going to get with her.
No, and she's kind of a reclusive hoarder as well. I mean, we've never really seen her other than like 2-3 times out of her house, out of her closet in particular. Yeah. And it's just like, oh no.
Messy. So let's go on to what is the big, I guess this is the main thing of the whole episode, but also I guess the season, which is Jen and her relationship with the rest of the cast. First of all, though, she is working on her relationship with Coach Shah, or Coach Shah is working on his relationship with her. How do we feel about the way Jen is with Coach Shah, or the way Coach Shah is with Jen, that relationship in general?
I get a little bit that he treats her with kid gloves. I appreciate his like inspirational like pep talks and everything, but I mean, maybe she needs, I don't know. She alluded that she said she's on medication, and that's great. I don't know if she said anything about being in therapy or anything, but it just seems like she needs, I don't know, a deeper look at some of her issues and why she lashes out at people. And it just seems like she gets triggered, and all of a sudden she's kind of almost in that blackout mode where she's just attacking people in ways that is not appropriate for the situation that she's in.
You're 100% right. I feel like Coach Shah coaches her, right? Like, he doesn't really talk to her. He coaches her like one of her athletes. Now, I will say, I love seeing Jen with him. Like, that's the Jen I want to see. Like, she was really fun at that like dance date and chill and just like having a great time. Like, I think Jen could legitimately be really fun to hang out with if that was like how she was. But I don't know. I have a sense that he coaches her, that he almost talks to her like he just kind of coaches her and pretends everything is fixed, but like none of the actual issues are being dealt with between the two of them.
Well, I find it really, I agree with everything that you're saying, but I remember hearing her say when she was on her date with Coach Shah, you know, I wish that everybody saw me like Coach Shah sees me. And I'm like, well, going back to what you just said, Reagan, everybody wishes that you were with them like you are with Coach Shah. Like she gives him this respect. She would never lash out at Coach Shah in that way. And yet that they don't see that. So of course, that's all we all want. We all want Jen to be like that all the time. But it's really interesting. She just doesn't get it. Her lack of self-awareness in this, for me, is like mind-blowing.
For sure. For sure.
And I feel like he also glazes over his kind of role in everything as far as being there more for her in a physical way and not just FaceTime or whatever. And that kind of, not that he should be solving her problems, but I think a lot of her frustration stems from not getting as much attention from him. And he kind of projects on like, oh, this is what you have to work on and this is how you have to deal with things. And maybe he needs to
do something
face a
as
few
well.
things too. Yeah.
I agree. And I think as well, I think as well, he's making it her problem. And actually the reality is that he's not, if he had to choose between his marriage and his job, I guarantee you he'd choose his job every time.
Well, I kind of think Jen would want him to choose his job, because my question is like, does Jen do anything? I mean, not like that comes off like an asshole. I don't mean it that way, but like she doesn't have a job, like a day-to-day job. So what's really stopping her from traveling with him?
True. Well, the show, maybe that's why she's
now
there and about. Yeah.
But I mean, the past 20 years, she hasn't been on the show. Like, I mean, I know she has an office and she has 8 members of staff, but I've never really been able to put together what she does.
Yeah.
I could really use 8 members of staff. Like I could genuinely use 8 members of staff. It kind of annoys me that she's got 8 members of staff that basically are her mates.
Well, and no young children either. Like they don't even have to like do the young children stuff. Like her kids are like, one's totally grown and out, and then is the other one like 12 or 13? Like
50, yeah.
High
school.
I could definitely use 7 more me's. I bet you guys can too.
I could definitely use that. It's the party then, and Jen has been invited, but Whitney finds out that Heather's not going to call her up and disinvite her. I have to say, I was thinking what I would do if I was Heather. I probably wouldn't call her because I'd be a bit scared, but I probably would send her a text saying, listen, bearing in mind what we've been through, I'm not sure coming to the party is the right idea because it's really important to me. Would you, or would you just do what Heather did and let her come and see what happens?
I mean, she probably, I don't know how much time there was in between the trip and the party, but would have benefited from like a lunch or, you know, let's try to hash things out before my big, huge, you know, opening that I've put all this time into. Because as Heather has no reason to believe Jen can behave herself and not ruin an event for everyone. So, you know, she put a lot of trust into her by saying, let's just see what happens. And, you know, I don't know.
I think what's interesting is we've seen like in past, like other housewife franchises, the disinvitation does not really go that well. It always kind of escalates things. It always makes it worse. So maybe Heather has learned from watching other housewife franchises that you shouldn't do the disinvitation. Let them come. They'll probably be more on their best behavior if they don't think that you wanted to disinvite them, if that makes sense. Like, I think Jen will pop off about it at the reunion. But I mean, if we take like the Kenya Moore Portia issue going on with Atlanta, like once Kenya was disinvited, it actually just ramped all this shit up and it made it even worse. So I wonder if that's where Heather was throwing her cues.
But basically Jen uses this party as her apology tour, doesn't she? Essentially, that's what she comes in. She's like, right. She says, and I loved this. She's like, I'm just going to Michelle Obama my way through this. And she thinks I love that she thinks she's going high. You know what I mean? She genuinely thinks she's like, I am going high when they are going low. And Whitney is very clear about her boundaries. She's like, this is not okay. I'm not going to stand for it. She's not mad. She's not shouty or anything. She's very clear. And that is Jen thinking that Whitney is being dirty. And that whole thing just baffles me. Like, this is where the disconnect is for Jen with me.
Absolutely. I mean, I think really the only person, I think she was pretty okay with everybody. I mean, she was definitely fine with Lisa and Meredith because those are who the people I think she really just wants to be friends with. I thought she was pretty awful to Heather, to be really frank, during that discussion. It's like, you don't really give a shit what she's saying to you. You're not. I mean, I think Heather could have been clearer, but I don't know. I don't have high hopes for their friendship after this.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of just she wanted Heather to be okay with her, and then immediately was like, no, you can't use my lip gloss. You can't. No, fuck you. You know, fuck you. It's like, I don't understand what's happening. Even if it's a joke, it's like the joke is too soon for that
it's
joke.
Too
like,
soon, Jen. For
like,
sure.
And like Jen's the one who is supposed to be apologizing to Heather, so I don't know. She turned it around and made it seem like Heather was the one who did something wrong by being upset with her for essentially attacking her at some point.
I know. And then even with Meredith, she says, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have got in the way of your family. And Meredith's absolutely right. If anybody got in between Jen and Coach or fucked with that, she would go ballistic.
Well, she did. Look what she did to Whitney.
Yeah, of course she did. So she apologizes. And Meredith very sort of graciously says, I really appreciate your apology. I just need to see, like, it's going to be a while until I can trust you again. You need to show it to me, right? Jen's like, well, I don't understand why she didn't accept my apology. It's like, Jen, like, what is happening what happens to the words between the moment that they leave Meredith's mouth or anybody's mouth and the moment that they get translated by your brain? Like, what happens? Because
there's like a victim
shield.
She's
living in another it's like she's living in a parallel universe, like she's living in opposite world. That's the thing. And it just is, I mean, it's great television, but I'm like, this woman is,
she's 5 years old. She's 5 years old. Like, when you go to correct your child, what they hear is like they're awful and they're doing it all wrong. What you said was, could you please just do it this way? It's the exact same translation filter. It just didn't fall out in Jen's ear.
That's funny because that's kind of how it works with my husband as well.
I really,
I have to be careful, Eliza, because my husband actually edits and produces it. So every time I bash him, I get a bollocking.
Yeah.
So Eliza, what do you
don't care though.
That we can kind of look forward to the reunion? What do you think the reunion's going to be like?
I mean, I definitely don't see Jen all of a sudden understanding how to take, constructive criticism and not turn it around into her pity party. I mean, the little clip that we saw, you can see that. And for some reason, Lisa's so big on, being her defense and which is nice. I know no one likes to see everyone getting dumped on, but sometimes that person is supposed to be, held accountable and needs to kind of get what they're doing. And it looks like it's going to be awesome. The fact that it's 3 parts in the first season obviously says a lot. I wonder.
I think it's going to be, I hope it's going to be exciting. I've got to be honest, because 3-parters, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I really need to I want them to have edited this shit properly and have good stuff for 3 episodes. If I get to the end of 3 episodes and I feel like it could have been 2, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah, I think if there's a lot of montages, I'm not going to have a lot of time for that, because I felt there were a lot of montages in this season finale, because it was 90 minutes long. It could have been an hour if they had just cut out all the montagey stuff from the beginning.
Mhm.
Like we've just watched this. Like
Yeah.
we don't need to be reminded.
There's-
I'm thinking it will be more fire just because of like Jen's comments, especially through the finale, like all her confessional comments. Obviously the ladies will now have seen that and seen what she was thinking about this, apology tour. And I think that's going to cause
Yeah.
some issues for sure.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think the girls are going to call her out on it. I think it's going to be like the Vegas hypnotist thing, but on steroids.
For sure.
I mean, I can't wait. Well, listen, I think that just about wraps up Salt Lake City for us. Do we know for sure whether there's going to be another season yet?
Yes, I believe
do.
they announced that. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Not sure
Well,
who,
I
but
mean, I'm here for another season, so we'll see how it goes.
absolutely.
Eliza, thank you so much for joining us. It's always nice to get a new face on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. I always love talking Bravo.
I know we could do it all day long.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. If you, this is what I'm doing. This is my head. It's the homeschool head thing. Go and follow Eliza. That's what I'm trying to say. Make sure you go and follow Face Reality 16 on Instagram. She is bringing all the Bravo news to you. And if you're a fan of reality TV, then you should definitely make sure that you are part of that account.
Amazing. Well, that just about wraps us up for this week. 4-show episode. It's always nice to be back to 4 shows. I feel like I can cope with that. How's it been for you, Reagan?
It's been great. I agree with the 4-show dynamic. I definitely think it's a way to go. We'll be welcoming back the Real Housewives of New Jersey soon as they pop up. I think it's in the next couple of weeks that it starts back up. So yeah, we'll be good to go. But I can't wait for these reunions that are coming up and all of that. Like it's been some hot TV.
It really, really has. But as ever, thank you so much for giving us your time. We hope that we bring a little sprinkle of sunshine and happiness into your week, wherever and however you find yourself amid this apocalyptic clusterfuck. But we will, of course, be back next week. And until then, remember,
Smart people watch reality TV too. Bye-bye.
bye.
Please subscribe, rate, and review TV My Husband Hates wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at TV My Husband Hates and join the Facebook group to keep the conversation going when the podcast ends. If Twitter's your thing, you'll find us at TV Husbands Hate. Theme music and production for TV My Husband Hates is by Jimmy Sims.